Welcome to Club Wisdom 8. We're going to go further into Vespa by first looking at comparisons between Langrisser M and the new Shining Force mobile game. Then we're going to go further by looking into a hidden game that Vespa, yes, doesn't like to talk about for some strange reason, called Time Defenders. And we'll continue to look further into Vespa. Does anyone remember Langrisser M? Well, I find that Shining Force, when I looked at the gameplay, it had a lot of similarities to this game. You will see in a moment as you watch the gameplay. And I'm sure a lot of you must have thought the same. But who are the developers of Langrisser, and are the developers of Langrisser going to be involved in the game Shining Force? Well, it's very strange, I must say, because the developers, the people who made Langrisser, which is really connects to the game so well. And what I find interesting about this is that it connects to like all the old versions 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know, a lot of it does stay true. In one respect, I would say there's so much like stolen from the game. Now, who's the king of stealing? Well, there you go. This game was developed in China, but it has really kept very true to the original. So it makes me wonder, actually. It's like, because when people saw Shining Force, they're like, wow, it looks really good. There's a lot of things that stay true to the original. And it makes me really wonder, are the same developers? Like, did Vespa actually pay to have any of these developers come and work directly for them? I would say in the last few years, there's a huge possibility. So back to Vespa, and let's go for Time Defenders. Now, what's the situation here? Well, actually, this game has honestly flopped in some respects. A lot of people just don't like it, and yeah, it's been released in Japan. Thank God I managed to switch it to English. And from my point of view, alright, there's something very unusual. It says a founding member, read this, a founding member of Time Defenders and the head of security and frontline status, has a strong sense of justice and is a character supported for many by being the first to serve people. Hisako Tojo, who played Betty in the Langrisser series, is in charge of the voice. And in addition, yeah, they have some famous voice actors from Evangelion. And there's a lot more. There's actually a lot more interesting things to Time Defenders. Now, what I want to get into here is this game is released in Japan at the moment. And for me, I think it looks good. I like the game. But again, I've heard bad things from some people about it. But for me, I'm quite interested in it. But what really gets me is that it's a game released in Japan, not in Korea, and it's by Vespa. It does not have any connection to Hive. Next up, it's a strategy RPG. And again, they did mention the Langrisser series. So I just keep getting this feeling that Vespa could be more, I don't know, I think they could be more invested into Shining Force. And there's another reason why. with regard to King's Raid, remember, Vespa bought it in 2016, and then from 2017, that's it. They just focused on that. Until 2018, they became like a public company. They're a shareholder company. So now this is where things became unusual, because then they started buying loads of companies or forming companies, whatever they were. But they now have like 4 different companies, including Hive. So since 2018, Vespa have aimed literally to probably become a company that can make the shareholders happy and release as many games as possible. So with this in mind, if you actually look at the way companies bring out games, generally speaking, a company will bring out a game every kind of 6 months. Why? Why? Because the life cycle, they want people to play the new game they've bought out. They don't want to just release a game and then everyone ignores the old game. And the life cycle in general, the main life cycle is in the first 4 months of a game. It normally peaks in the first few months, and then it starts dwindling, and that's when you need a new game to take over. So with regard to Time Splitters, and it looks like that Vespa are putting a lot of energy and effort into Japan. Otherwise, why would they even be going for Shining Force, for instance? Either way, the point being, and by the way, this game's Time Splitters. Now that Time Splitters at this point maybe, so let's say we have August, end of August. So it's clever. They always release at end of August, so it's like it's been released from August, but it's not really August. It's like September, October, November, December, January, February. So actually, if you time everything, and you consider that Shining Force, this is going to be released early 2022, I would theoretically say that the game should theoretically be released at the end of February February 27th, February 28th. That would kind of work. So I'm just letting you know. That's the theory. But I'm going to say something else. Do you remember when I said that Vespa actually listened to what the people want? Well, I have a feeling that because people globally gave so much negativity to Shining Force, I have a feeling the game will be put back 1 month or 2 for people to test it out and to make sure that the game doesn't receive huge criticism, huge negativity. I think Vespa are going to be very, very worried about this. So I do get a strong feeling that this game will come out a bit later than expected. So I'm personally expecting it at either the end of March or April. Do you remember that Vespa said that, or Hive, they said the name of Shining Force, Heroes of Light and Darkness. This name is only a temporary name and they might change it. Now, I have quite a strong impression that maybe it's possible it could be changed, because I haven't seen any indication of the website being bought for the game. So I think that's quite important to take into consideration, because if they're going to change the name, they're probably going to have to make a new press release. And because the game already hasn't come out, it gives me the indication that it might come out, it might not come out in February, and it's going to come out a bit later, which is a shame. Now, let's have another look. One thing at Vespa, and one thing is about the shareholder meeting, because we might get some updates. Now, also the point being is there's actually 2 points about Shining Force. Here's the first one from Vespa. So yeah, Hive development of mobile games, utilizing the Sega IP. Okay, so it seems to be Hive. Hive is related to it. Then why bother putting why put Vespa on it? The moving mobile of SRPGs, Shining Force, blah blah blah, continues, and it's AIM. They say AIM. Okay, aims. Heroes of Light and Darkness aims to be released in the first half of 2022. Now, aims doesn't sound good. I would say the point that they didn't say it will be released, we have a big problem. So I'm even gonna go so far to say based on the haters' responses to the game, which was for me quite overwhelming, I think they're gonna take more time, and again I'm gonna say it's gonna come out a bit later. Now, the CEO, what does the CEO of Hive say? Okay, they've signed the intellectual property, so yeah, Sega, they have it. So Sega can't, they're not going to take it back. And this game it's been contracted and is the works loved by many gamers. Okay, due to the strategic tactics, immersive scenario, and dynamic animations that appear during the battle. So yeah, it's a masterpiece, a simulation role-playing game that has heated up the global game market along with Emblem. That's interesting. So if you ask me, the point that they mention Fire Emblem Heroes and give Shining Force Heroes, literally the same name, I would expect the game perhaps to be called Shining Force Heroes unless Nintendo take action. But my idea is, Shining Force Heroes will be the name, and considering that King's Raid is quite a big Heroes collector, and Vespa like the idea of hero collector games from my point of view. So I reckon Shining Force Heroes will be the name, will probably be closer to the name of the game, and I will need to check if the .com has been purchased, and will continue to look further into Vespa.